Right now on the National Weather Desk, confirmation that a tornado hit Texas Monday night. We'll look at what impact it had on the region.
The warning is this is bear country. It's that way every year, but this year particularly they've seen an influx, and I think part of it might be because of the smoke that we've seen in the mountains, forcing the bears into the valley.
And bear attacks are on the rise in the Pacific Northwest. We'll find out why and what officials are doing to keep people safe.
No rain will have a huge impact on California's farming.
And NOAA has predicted a dry winter for many parts of California. We'll find out what this means for farms in the already drought-stricken state. Plus, the surprising reasons why putting off raking up those fall leaves might be worse for your yard than you thought.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Our top story this morning, a tornado in Texas. It's been confirmed that a tornado did touch down in central Texas Monday evening during some severe weather that came through. That tornado touched down about 40 miles just north of Austin, leaving a path of damage. Let's head to Jarrell, Texas, where Jessica Taylor reports.
Roots ripped out of the ground and damage all around.
Pretty much every tree we have that's over 40 feet tall has been damaged or broken off.
This homeowner in Jarrell says all was quiet Monday night around 9:30. Then the power went out and everything changed.
And then suddenly we heard a freight train. It sounds exactly like they say it does. And within 2 minutes, it was all done and over with.
Williamson County Judge Bill Gravel says at least 36 homes or businesses were damaged in the storm.
There were some strong winds last night, but you know what? There were some strong people too.
This marks the area's third significant weather event this year. So why is this community hit so hard?
Yeah, I get that question a lot about Jarrell. Unfortunately, it's just kind of random luck of Mother Nature.
Coming from someone who's lived in Jarrell 12 years, this homeowner says despite the seemingly bad luck from Mother Nature, it's still a wonderful place to call home.
I don't think people need to be afraid of Jarrell. A storm can strike just about anywhere. And the fact that you have good neighbors and good infrastructure and support from all the public service personnel, I think it's a good place to settle down.
Well, California is one of several states grappling with drought conditions. Their Department of Water Resources says the Golden State is right in the middle of its driest 3-year stretch on record. On top of that, a prediction for California, but that both farmers and consumers do not want to hear, a forecast of a dry winter ahead. Let's go to Sacramento, where Laura Hefele has a story.
California weather works in extremes. A prediction 90 days in the future shows drought conditions in the Central Valley, but rain and snow in the Sierra. According to experts, weather whiplash is common.
You just have to be prepared for extreme events. They can happen at any time.
Craig Shoemaker is a meteorologist for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which released their winter outlook for California. An image posted by the agency predicts precipitation levels will be below normal in the Central Valley area and through Southern California. But why?
Yeah, La Nina is a cooling of the equatorial water temperatures.
Unlike El Nino, which brings wet weather to parts of the state, La Nina is a drier system that moves from Western Canada down through Northern California, and it's headed for farmers.
No rain will have a huge impact on California's farming.
Jasdeep Bains is the director of farm management for Diamond Bee Company, primarily farming peaches and almonds. Bains is concerned by the agency's stark prediction. No rain means less profit for growers.
You have to start assessing laying people off, which that's going to be a larger issue because then you'll be talking about unemployment rate.
Obviously, a lack of rain is tough on crops, but it's got to be tough on business as well. Is it getting to a point where farmers in the Central Valley are considering just leaving?
People have walked away from those orchards already. So next year, it's only going to get worse without rainfall.
Well, NOAA, or National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, recently released their winter weather outlook. And for this winter, they're calling for a La Nina event. But what exactly does that mean and what impacts can you expect? To find out, let's head to Syracuse, New York, where meteorologist Violet Skyber explains.
So let's head over to the Pacific Ocean, where we have trade winds moving from east to west. During a La Nina event, those trade winds become stronger and it displaces a lot of warm ocean water off to the west. And then we have swelling, which means the colder ocean water on the eastern side starts to lift up and moves to the surface. So we have this cold ocean water over the western side of the United States, and that's what really impacts our weather systems here in the upcoming winter. So what this does is it takes the Pacific jet, which is normally on the southern part of the United States, and shoves it northward. And it causes this cooler air to start dropping in across the northwestern part of the United States, along with our weather systems that follow this jet stream. So with the weather systems following this jet stream, that means we're going to have some wetter systems on the western side of the states and towards the Great Lakes region and south of the Ohio Valley as well, with drier and warmer weather for the southern and southeastern part of the states. And we have variable temperatures along this part of the polar jet just because weather systems have a cool side and a warm side to them. So we usually see pretty big temperature swings up here in the Northeast and the Great Lakes region during this. Hopefully this clears up any confusion about the La Nina event. You can always reach out to me with more questions that you have.
Right, if you do have more questions for Violet, follow us on YouTube and Instagram. We post all of Violet's videos on our National Weather Desk YouTube channel and her latest posts on her Instagram. Well, wildfires that plague the Pacific Northwest are now seeing another fallout. Bear attacks on humans have increased. And officials say that a large part of that is due to the smoke from wildfires, because now is the season when bears look to, fatten up before hibernating. But all that smoke at the higher elevations pushing the bears now down the mountains and closer to people. Let's head to Seattle, Washington, where Michelle Esteban has more.
The warning is this is bear country. It's that way every year, but this year particularly they've seen an influx, and they think part of it might be because of the smoke that we've seen in the mountains, forcing the bears into the valley.
Saw the mama bear and her cubs about halfway up the tree.
Right there, about 40 feet up a conifer, a mama bear and her two cubs. It's our first look at them shortly after this black bear sow attacked one of Michelle Golder's neighbors. The woman was in her own yard.
I mean, this really could happen to any of us. And I think everybody needs to be prepared.
Out for a walk, Golder happened upon the scene. His crews euthanized the sow and rescued her cubs right along Waterfront Park in downtown Leavenworth.
I can only imagine how terrifying of an experience that must have been for her. We're extremely grateful it didn't turn out worse.
At last check, Fish and Wildlife says she remains hospitalized and is expected to be okay. They stressed she did nothing wrong.
She went to let her dog out in the morning and was completely surprised by the presence of this bear that attacked her from behind.
She fought off the bear, then drove herself to the hospital.
I was shocked. I mean, I know it can happen. It's just, I wish the city or somebody could take different measures.
When a wild animal attacks a person, there are no second chances. We have a responsibility to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Captain Mike Jules stresses this is bear country. They're active all year except in winter. But this year, even more bear activity. Maybe pushed down mountain by smoke and lured by human food. Jules says best way to help a bear, never feed them unintentionally or not.
Well, anytime you put out human food for a wild animal or any type of food source for a wild animal, you're habituating that animal.
Well, it brings them back and they're coming back for more, right? Once a trash bear, will always be a trash bear.
If you live near lots of water, it can impact the climate in your area. Let's go back to Seattle, where meteorologist Theron Zahn explains.
Large bodies of water or inland seas can have a big impact on the climate where you live. If you live near one of these areas of water, basically they act like a temperature regulator. They warm more slowly in the summer and cool more slowly during the winter. That could make your summers not as hot and your winters not as cold if you live near one of these large areas of water.
All right, before we head to break, let's take a look at this amazing sunrise. It was captured by our station in Cincinnati and shows those great examples of crepuscular rays. The rays typically seen during sunrise, sunset, caused by dust, smoke, and particulates in the atmosphere. But as you can see, the rays, they're streaming through a gap in the clouds. All right, coming up on the National Weather Desk, if you care about your yard, you need to get rid of those fall leaves as soon as possible. More after this.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. Today's going to be another mild day, but we do have some wet weather to talk about, mostly in New England, parts of Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine. We're going to get some heavy downpours. Some tropical downpours are possible here. New York, northern New Jersey. I think most of you will miss out on these downpours. That moves off to the north. Just about everybody gets into some sunshine on Thursday, and temperatures on Thursday will make it back into the 50s and 60s.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. Some clouds, some fog, maybe some drizzle to begin the day. Next weather maker moves in. It's a cold front with some scattered showers through lunchtime into the early afternoon and through about 4 or 5 o'clock. Not a whole lot of moisture with it, but there could be some, again, showers and spits and drizzles all the way through the day. It's going to be kind of a gloomy day with highs in the mid to upper 60s to near 70. Behind that weather maker, cooler weather for the rest of the work week. That's the scene here.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. A southeast look for you for your highs. It looks like what we're seeing is those temperatures in the mid-70s up in Raleigh, 79 in Charleston, 74 in Macon, Georgia. A little cooler air in those 60s as we have a front that's going to continue to push up into parts of the mid-Atlantic. Still staying warm in those 80s down in parts of Florida. So watching that system pushing through the Tennessee Valley, dropping some heavy showers and thunderstorms, kind of breaking up shower activity as we get into the overnight Wednesday, and more clearing, cooler temperatures behind that.
Now let's check to see the weather in cities across the country today. We're going to start out in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Another morning of fog and a slow go on area roads. Cloudy conditions today with a chance of a few more showers. The high temperature is 67 degrees. And umbrella in hand, too, for Altoona, Pennsylvania. There's some showers in the forecast later today. High temperature of 60 degrees. They're getting rid of their fog. Albany, New York, where clouds also in the forecast. Extensive fog there. 71 degrees, the high temperature with a chance of afternoon showers. And now we'll head south to Georgetown, South Carolina. A little beautiful sky there. They'll have partly sunny skies and a toasty high temperature today of 80 degrees. Well, our meteorologists across the country are weather experts, and sometimes their outside passions inform what they do on the job. Baltimore meteorologist Justin Chambers is also a pilot. He sat down with Emily Gracie about ways that his job helps him while he's in the skies.
Because I started as a meteorologist and I was always looking up to the clouds, and then I decided one day, I was like, wait, I want to go up in the clouds, and that's exactly what I did. So when I was in Nashville 3 or 4 years ago, I started learning how to fly, and it is just the best thing. And let me tell you, you definitely have a leg up being a meteorologist going to get your pilot's license, because a lot of flying is weather, and you have to know the weather, and you have to have the right weather to be able to fly. And so that kind of put me gave me a little bit of a heads up or whatever to be able to go and get my pilot's license. So that was a lot of fun. And I mean, flying is just it's the best thing that I ever did. It's the best decision I ever made.
What are you doing to prepare ahead of time?
I mean, as I mentioned, the weather is the absolute first thing I look at, and I'm looking at weather 3, 4, 5 days out because of my job. And then I'm knowing, okay, I have to fly on Saturday. So how are the winds looking? How are the clouds looking? But it's mainly about, looking at the ceiling, and which is, where the cloud deck is, and then what the winds are doing, whether or not I can take off on the runways that I have, because if I have too much of a crosswind, I'm not able to do that. The pilot's operating handbook of these planes say, look, 15-knot crosswind is not going to be good for the structure of the plane. So if I have too much of a westerly wind coming at me, I'm not going to be able to fly that day.
Have you learned from being in the clouds?
Yeah, I think so, because I definitely am more attuned to what the weather is going to do for pilots. And I found a lot of different things to be able to learn how to find out what the weather is, just that pilots do, that I didn't know being a meteorologist on TV before. And so knowing that also like has helped me really kind of understand the weather a little bit more. And being up there at 9,000 feet when I can, see the towering cumulus clouds come up and like, oh, there's a thunderstorm over there. And you can actually see the rain shadow coming from a storm, and the ATC guy is telling you, yep, let's divert 30 degrees to your left and stay away from that storm. That's been really cool to be able to see that, and it gives me kind of a fuller understanding of the whole picture.
Justin is also a flight instructor. In fact, he's currently teaching his co-anchor how to fly. If you want to see more of the interview with Justin, search the National Weather Desk on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to hit the bell so that you can get notified when we add more great content. Well, it's natural for people to ask questions that make us go, For example, does the water always spin down the drain in one direction in the northern hemisphere and the opposite direction in the southern hemisphere? Let's go to Mobile, Alabama, where meteorologist Alan Seals answers that question about hurricanes.
Many a night you may lay awake in bed wondering, why can't hurricanes cross the equator? Well, the answer starts with the fact that in the northern hemisphere, hurricanes spin counterclockwise. In the southern hemisphere, they spin clockwise. And that would be the same for any big region of low pressure. So aside from the fact that there is no wind that blows across the equator directly, if you were to take a hurricane spinning counterclockwise in the Atlantic and somehow force it to cross the equator, that counterclockwise spin would instantly make it high pressure. So it would pretty much just fall apart. I'm meteorologist Alan Seals.
Well, another big question that we get asked as meteorologists is how much snow would all that rain have been if it were snow and cold enough? Let's go to Cincinnati, where meteorologist John Gum has the answer.
Let's take 1 inch of rainfall, for instance, here in the rain gauge. That 1 inch of rainfall can equal different amounts of snow depending on how cold the temperature is. So, for instance, let's take a temperature of 34 degrees. At 34 degrees on the surface, it's a little colder aloft, with 1 inch of rain, we could see about 5 inches of snow. That would be a very wet snowfall, a 5-to-1 ratio. Okay, so think of those big wet snowflakes when the temperature at the ground is above freezing. However, when it's about 30 degrees, say it gets just a little bit colder outside, well, that 1 inch of rainfall can equal about 10 inches of snow. That's a 10-to-1 ratio. That is pretty typical on average of any given snow. So that's the answer we usually give, a 10-to-1 ratio. But again, it all depends on the temperature. Now, let's say we get a little more snowfall with colder temperatures. Okay? 1 inch of rainfall at 18 degrees can be about 20 inches of snow. That is a dry snow, those little flakes of snow, and that snow weighs a whole lot less. So how much rain equals snow? Well, the answer can be pretty complicated depending on exactly what the temperature is as we vary from a wet snow to a dry snow. And what makes forecasting these snowfall amounts even trickier is the fact that during big snowstorms, these ratios constantly change during the course of the storm. And that makes the forecast much trickier on the snowfall end of things in the winter months.
Lots of fun. Our 200 meteorologists across the country are constantly posting useful information on social media, and we do as well. Let's take a look at what meteorologist Christina Earn posted on her TikTok recently.
Are pretty, but don't leave them be. Here are 3 reasons why it's so important to do your raking, your leaf blowing, and all of your fall cleanup.
Number 1, leaves are more slippery than ice when wet. You can take a nasty fall or skid with your car.
Number 2, they can clog drains and cause flooding in the fall.
Number 3, leaves left unraked can actually harm your grass. In the winter and the spring months, it can promote mold under snowpack and ultimately harm your grass and even make it not grow next spring.
Well, we have heard a lot from viewers that they love seeing our fall foliage drone videos. So as we head to break, let's take a look at some of the changing colors over Eugene, Oregon.
Good Wednesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Chris Succi. Look at our forecast today across the region. We're going to get a lot of sunshine, nice cool temperatures this morning. The afternoon warms up into the comfortable upper 60s and low to mid 70s from Oklahoma, Arkansas to New Orleans. 71 the high, 77 to near 80 as you work from Austin to San Antonio. And then Thursday, we introduce again the chance for some showers and thunderstorms late day Thursday with that area of low pressure in front moving across the region during the day Friday.
Good Wednesday morning. I'm Caroline Cohen, and we are tracking much cooler weather across the Great Lakes region. With this, we have 50s in Bismarck, 60 in Pierre. We swing over to Des Moines, upper 50s and dry as that low pressure system has moved through, now bringing rain into the Ohio River Valley. This low pressure system continues to move east through Wednesday evening, and then we're in for drying skies through a good portion of the area heading into the latter half of the work week.
Well, hi there and a happy Wednesday morning to everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Just had a big storm come through the I-5 corridor from Seattle to Portland, so that marches east towards Spokane and Boise today, bringing rain and gusty wind, heavy mountain snow over the Continental Divide. Highs just in the 40s around Missoula and back into the Treasure Valley. You can see the snow filling in around the Rockies and the Wasatch there outside of Salt Lake City and Denver. Sunshine in Southern California. And that's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk. When it's dry, fall gets crunchy. Asheville, North Carolina meteorologist Jason Boyer did expect a little relief through rain Tuesday night. In Arkansas, smoke from a wildfire west of Pine Bluff. Meteorologist Barry Brandt says flames grew quickly due to strong winds, drought conditions, and dry vegetation. The fire damaged buildings and forced evacuations. For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Twitter.
Every day we get great content from our team of over 200 meteorologists across the country, but we also get awesome stuff from viewers all over the country as well through our platform Chime In. Check out this station's website if you'd like to submit to our Chime In platform. Now let's take a look at some of those latest submissions. Thanks for spending a little part of your morning with the National Weather Desk. Have you ever heard of psychogenesis? On tomorrow's show, we'll show you what it is. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Make it a great day and keep an eye on the sky.